afternoon, and welcome to SGRN, some good relationship news. I'm your host, Director of Residence Life and Associate Dean Amy Kerr. Thank you for joining us today. We have a packed episode. We'll first be talking about how to create lasting friendships in college, as well as how to approach that oh-so-special someone in your life. We'll also learn about how to avoid some relationship mishaps and some important resources that we have available just for you on campus. We're going to wrap with some opportunities for how you can keep learning about this topic, so stay with us. With us today is Allison Mokler. She's worked with many different residential communities here at Catholic University, and she's currently the community director for one of the most historic communities on our campus, Central Neighborhood. Before we begin, Allison, tell us, how's the weather?
It looks pretty good to me.
All right, well, thanks. Allison, now maybe you can tell us a little bit about how to be part of a community.
Hi, my name is Allison Mokler. Dean Kerr asked for me to speak to you all today because you're getting ready to start your school year here at Catholic University. At Catholic, respect for human dignity means students of all backgrounds are welcome. It goes without being said that discrimination based upon someone's identity is not accepted here. If you or another student experiences any type of mistreatment based upon your identity, there are ways to step in and report it to receive additional support. Below is more information about the non-discrimination policy at the university. Respecting the physical space is an important part of being a community member. Whether you're living on campus in the residence halls or commuting for classes and events, you should take pride in your new home for the next 4 years. You can take time to throw out items in the appropriate trash cans. Bring storage containers to keep your items organized. And set a timer or use the laundry app to pick up your laundry on time so the next person can use the washer or dryer. It's the small things that can make a difference. Please remember to treat staff members with respect on campus. The custodial staff, facilities team, Department of Public Safety, and Residence Life are just a few of the members on campus who are here to help ensure that your time at Catholic University is as comfortable and as safe as possible. Look at this beautiful example of a community below. Now, let's talk about communication. Many of your courses will include class discussions and group projects. Communicating is a key component to participation points and the success of your group projects. Discuss who is going to work on each section and timelines that everyone is comfortable with. If you're living on campus, you should have an honest conversation with your roommates, suite mates, and neighbors about your lifestyle, such as when you like to wake up and go to bed, what's an appropriate level to play music at, and if you ever experience a conflict, you can always go to your RA for advice on how to best address your concerns. However, misunderstandings and disagreements are bound to happen. When everyone has had a chance to cool down, take a moment to talk about the conflict using I statements to describe your thoughts, experiences, and feelings instead of placing blame. Hopefully, you are able to come to a better understanding. If you're experiencing an issue in class or in the residence halls and you need assistance, you can reach out to someone like your RA, student minister, or professor for help. Try to remain open to making compromises or finding alternative solutions. We are all living together in the Catholic University community. Just to review, being a part of the Catholic University community means respecting human dignity, treating Catholic U as your new home, communicating appropriately with community members, and being open to resolving conflicts creatively. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thanks, Allison, for sharing those helpful tips on building community connections. Next, we're going to talk with CD's Matt Madatu and Frank Schleimer, who are going to share their thoughts on how to manage friendships near and far. They both help with our Residence Life social media accounts, which you should all follow, and they know a lot about staying connected to friends both on and off campus. Fellas?
Hey everyone!
Hello, new Catholic University members.
I just heard you got a crash course from our friend and fellow community director Allison about how to be a good community member.
That's awesome. Now that you know how to create new friendships in the Catholic University community, we're going to talk about how to manage these new friendships and how to maintain the friendships from afar.
That's right, Frank. It's really important to be able to communicate your expectations as well as listening to the expectations of other people. For example, when and where you're going to hang out, your own study habits, and just communication in general.
Those are helpful things to keep in mind. I also think it's important to set clear boundaries. How much is too much communication? What activities are you cool with? And when do I tell a friend just to give me some more space?
So Frank, for instance, if I had a test to study for and you wanted to go out, I could just tell you straight up, hey Frank, sorry, gotta study tonight, but you go on ahead. It's been hard in the past when friends have given me a hard time about it, but it's just kind of nice when people can kind of respect you for it.
Got it. I mean, yeah, it doesn't mean we aren't still buds, but sometimes you just gotta take care of business. So, what about social media? I don't really appreciate it when people post pictures of me without asking.
That makes sense. I'll make sure to check in with you before I post next time. Since we're on that topic, I think it might be good to talk about friends from home. I know that we're all trying to stay connected these days, and it's really important to be able to be honest if it's getting a little bit too much, if you've just had too much screen time and it's giving you a little bit of a headache. It's important to check in with your friends and plan a regular time to meet. But it's also important to let them know when you might not be available, whether it be because of class or studying or hanging out with other folks on campus. You can always share updates the next time you chat.
Well, I think that's all from us today. Just to make sure you got it all down. When managing friendships near and far, it's important to keep the following things in mind. Communicate expectations with your friends, set boundaries, and don't forget to be clear with your friends about what is not okay with them in terms of social media. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt and Frank, for those wonderful ideas on creating and maintaining friendships. Don't leave before our next segment. We have our relationship correspondents, Community Directors Jenna Radkins and Victor David, who are going to share some of their insights on exploring romantic interests. Jenna is coming up on her 1-year anniversary with her husband, and Victor is recently engaged to his fiancée. I'm sure they both have some great advice for us all.
Welcome everybody. Hello, my name is Jenna Radkins, and I'm super excited to be talking with all of you here today. I'm here with Victor, and the two of us, as Amy said, we're community directors, and we're going to be talking about romantic relationships in college today. So, Victor, how about we start with you? And why don't we start with, what do you think is a good foundation for a healthy relationship?
Sure. Well, first of all, hi everyone, I'm Victor. So when thinking about romantic relationships, I think it's good, first of all, to think about yourself and think about your own personal values. For instance, it could be, family, fun, compassion, spirituality. These things, tend to be those deal makers when you, meet someone who shares and complements those same values. So I'd encourage all of you to think of your own personal values. For me, they're faith, humor, honesty, and baking skills. Thank you to my fiance Greta.
Yes, thank you, Greta. And you are the king of baking, so it's important that you, Matt, have somebody who can match that enthusiasm.
That's
right?
true, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so those are deal makers, but what would you say about deal breakers?
Deal breakers. Well, it's good to know what are the qualities that would basically disqualify someone from being a romantic interest.
Sure.
Knowing your deal breakers, will help you figure out whether diving into a relationship is a good idea, or if it won't be such a good fit. Some deal breakers that I can think of are, if someone is not single.
Yep,
that is
do it.
possibly a deal breaker. Hopefully.
Should be a deal breaker. You think?
Concerns about any emotional health, if someone has been untrustworthy, is uncaring, or has different self-care skills that don't really mesh with yours.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I think that's a really good foundation. So it probably is worth us fast forwarding a little bit and kind of pretending like, okay, you're in that romantic relationship. And as we've mentioned, that communication is really important when you're in a relationship. And one thing that's really important to talk about is boundaries and setting expectations and being open and honest with them. And if you don't feel comfortable, if your person doesn't feel comfortable with you, having open and honest conversations about boundaries, then it might be time to reevaluate a little bit.
Now, what are some of the, boundaries that you might discuss with a partner?
There's plenty of boundaries, and conveniently, I have this box of boundaries here to help us navigate the conversation. So,
How lucky were we?
let's see. Do you want to reach in first? See what we find?
Sure. All
Yeah.
right. What's in here? It's a heart.
Yes. I'm pretty sure that is supposed to correlate with saying the L word.
Laundry.
No, not laundry. Laundry's important. But I think it means like the L word, like love, I love you, or because sometimes people aren't on the same pace with that. So it's really important if your partner says that they love you and you're not ready for that, to be honest, because you definitely don't want to pretend, and that would just complicate things. So it's really important to let let your partner know where you are.
Sure. Sounds good.
My turn. I think. Ooh, postcard.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, The Incredibles.
Oh, love
Adorable.
that movie.
Yeah,
Great.
me too.
Postcards. Well, I mean, for me, that reminds me that, in a partnership, it's okay to, spend time away from each other. I think a lot of couples, especially newer couples, may want to just always be together the whole time. But it's actually really healthy, to focus on your own interests, other friends, as well as, each other. So having that time apart, it can actually help you grow as people and as a couple.
Oh yeah, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
All right, what else is in here? Let's see here. Oh, it's my watch.
Oh, that is your watch. Maybe I'm gonna say I think going at a good pace and taking your time in a relationship is really important. Not rushing into anything you're not ready for. Because I think intimacy with a couple, it can happen very slowly, and it could be anything from holding hands, or maybe just having a really long conversation about your hopes and your dreams. And it's really important to go at a pace that you're comfortable with and not pressure anyone or feel pressured to do anything you don't want to do.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
How about one more?
This is an iPhone.
Oh.
This is your iPhone.
I was looking for that.
Why? Yep. Well, maybe that was my mistake. Put your phone on there.
It does remind me when talking with your significant other to talk about what your digital relationship looks like.
Yes.
When is it okay to tag each other on an Instagram post? When will you update your relationship status on Facebook? When you're, calling, texting, when do you expect a response back?
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And honestly, talking about boundaries, it's so important to reevaluate those boundaries as your relationship grows, because this is all kind of hitting me. I know Amy mentioned that I got married recently in this last year, just in September, and we went from being long distance for 5 years to then now we're roommates, and it felt pretty overnight that happened. So we had to reevaluate a lot of our boundaries to figure out how we were doing and make sure that we're respecting each other and all that. So boundaries are so important, and they change as your relationship changes, but it's a good foundation.
So, we talked about, good foundations and setting boundaries, but what would you say are signs of a healthy relationship?
So important to keep in mind. For healthy relationships, 5 immediately come to my mind. So one we had mentioned is a comfortable pace. So making sure you're going at a comfortable pace and that you and your partner are on the same page of that is super important, and is a good sign. But then also the next 2 kind of go hand in hand. So trust and honesty. So trusting that your partner is not intentionally going to do anything to hurt you, but then being honest with your partner as well. And honesty can be really challenging, but making sure that you keep that in mind is really important. And then independence is something else that I would say, because independence in a relationship kind of helps you like have other pieces of your identity outside of your relationship that you're really proud of. So making sure you have some time and some friends outside of your relationship is healthy. And then respect, kind of a baseline of respect, and respecting each other's values and beliefs is a really important fundamental piece. But how about you? What would you say?
Sure. Some that come to my mind would be equality. There's a balance in the relationship. No one person, dominates the other.
Yeah.
It's very, kind of the same level. Kindness, of course, caring for each other, being responsive to, the other person's needs.
Yeah.
Taking responsibility, admitting when you're wrong, which
Yeah,
is hard to do sometimes.
Right.
But by doing that, you're able to, show that, you're someone that's mature enough to be in this relationship. Healthy conflict, it's actually okay to disagree with your significant other, and to have disagreements, but still, having that underlying respect and feelings for each other. For instance, Greta thinks that Speak Now is Taylor Swift's best album. I know that 1989 is, but we don't agree on that, but it doesn't mean that, we hate each other.
Yeah.
It just means that we have different tastes.
And more music to listen
in music. Yeah, exactly. And of course, fun. If you don't enjoy spending time with each other, then, it's not really worth it, is it?
Yeah, a relationship should be fun. I agree. Yeah, and so we covered a lot.
Yes.
I mean, so to summarize, we talked about looking inward and your values, which would be your deal makers.
Mhm.
We referenced some deal breakers that could be in a romantic relationship. Some boundaries to communicate about that could help set a good foundation as well. And then 10 signs of a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Easy,
Well,
right?
hey, that's it from us. So thank you all for being with us today. And back to you, Amy.
Thanks, Jenna and Victor, for your helpful advice on romantic relationships. We have talked a lot today about some good relationships. Next, we have Dean Amy Love, who has some more serious news. Amy's going to talk a little bit about how to ensure healthy relationships by navigating some potential red flags and how to be an empowered bystander. The good news is that she will share some campus resources so you know how to get additional support. Amy?
Thank you for having me today. If you need any support after this session, your OA can get you connected to additional support resources. Now that Jenna and Victor spent some time talking to you about the signs of a healthy relationship, I want to spend some time talking about the 10 signs of an unhealthy relationship. This way, you can be aware of some potential red flags so that you know when you may want to reach out for additional support. The first sign of an unhealthy relationship is intensity. If someone expresses extreme feelings or behavior that make you feel overwhelmed, I would recommend talking to a trusted resource. The second sign of an unhealthy relationship is possessiveness. If someone tries to control who you spend time with, that's not okay. The third sign of an unhealthy relationship is manipulation. If someone tries to control your actions or makes you do something that you're uncomfortable with, that is a red flag. The fourth sign of an unhealthy relationship is isolation. If someone tries to take you away from family or friends, this can also be a concern. The fifth sign of an unhealthy relationship is sabotage. If someone is intentionally ruining your reputation, this is another red flag. The sixth sign of an unhealthy relationship is belittling. If someone says or does something to make you feel bad about yourself, that's just not okay. The seventh sign of an unhealthy relationship is guilting. If someone tries to make you feel like it's your responsibility for their happiness, that's another red flag. The eighth sign of an unhealthy relationship is volatility. If someone has an unpredictable action that makes you feel scared, there are so many resources on campus that can help you feel more secure. The ninth sign of an unhealthy relationship is deflecting responsibility. If someone tries to make excuses for their unhealthy behavior, this is a concern. The 10th sign of an unhealthy relationship is betrayal. If someone is intentionally acting in a dishonest way, this is another red flag. I want you to be aware of the signs of an unhealthy relationship because each of you deserve to be treated with human dignity. Now, I briefly want to talk about an even more serious topic, sexual violence. The Catholic Church teaches that any violence, especially sexual violence, is never justified. However, sexual assault and sexual violence are not limited to relationships. You will learn more about this through the mandatory online training emailed to you later on.
So, Amy, what can somebody do if they know someone who's in one of these types of situations?
Thanks for asking. If you know someone who may be in an unhealthy relationship or who has experienced sexual violence, it's important to know how to help. However, stepping in can feel intimidating. Here at Catholic University, we give students the tools to be an empowered bystander through the 3 Ds of bystander intervention. The first D strategy is direct, which can be as simple as checking in to ask if the person is okay. The second D strategy is delegate, which can include delegating to someone who may have the training or the experience to step in. The third D is distract, which can be diverting the attention away from a concerning situation so that you or someone else can safely intervene.
Amy, can you share a little bit more about what kinds of resources a student can delegate to?
I'm glad you asked. I want to emphasize that if you or a friend is ever in need of additional support because of an unhealthy relationship or sexual violence, you are not alone. Here at Catholic University, we are committed to connecting students to additional support. You can contact your RA or the Office of the Dean of Students and request to get connected to additional support, such as confidential resources.
And what if a student is concerned about getting in trouble for drinking alcohol or violating our guest policy, but they still want to make a report about sexual violence?
That's a good question. The university seeks to remove any potential barriers for students who wish to make a report of sexual violence. Students who make a report of sexual violence will not be subject to disciplinary action for lesser policy violations, such as alcohol or visitation, during the time of the incident, as long as the incident did not put another person's safety at risk.
That's helpful to know. Thanks for joining us today, Dean Love.
Of course. Please know that if you ever have any questions, I and the other deans in the Office of the Dean of Students are always able to assist.
Our last guests for today are the peers. They're going to tell us about some opportunities for continued education throughout this upcoming year.
Hi, my name is Gia Carasone and I'm one of the student coordinators for Peers. This upcoming school year, Peers will be planning events and campaigns focused on healthy relationships and sexual assault and violence prevention. In October, we'll be working on the Clothesline Project and Purple Thursdays, all to bring awareness to end relationship violence. In February, we'll be bringing in a speaker to talk about relationship violence. And then in April, Peers will host Denim Day, Take Back the Night, and Teal Tuesdays to bring awareness to Sexual Assault Awareness Month. These are just a few of the opportunities that Catholic University students will have to come together in support and solidarity. Peers will be planning tons more events this upcoming year, so make sure to keep on the lookout for those.
Thanks for joining us today for some good relationship news. We really appreciate everyone who helped out in all the correspondence, and we hope you enjoyed the show today. Stay safe out there, be kind to one another, and don't forget to follow both Residence Life and the Peers on our social media accounts to stay up to date on all things relationship, but everything else too. Have a great day!